Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me. Wherever you are, however your day is going, thank you for joining me today. We're going to jump right in. Chapter 12. Again, we're just going to move real rapidly through this because I don't want to overwhelm you with work this week, as you've got a lot of reading and other stuff to do in these couple weeks here, and with extra with other reading. The war was one of the worst fought American wars because of disunity. But it was a war that really established America not only as a place that had freedom, and could exist on its own. But I mean, we're 1812 from 1776 to 1812. We're talking 37 years later. It really established America as an adolescent adult. If you could picture that, you had the baby America that in its inception in 1776. But now it's 13, it's 17, it's pushing its fight for freedom. It's trying to show its independence. If you think about it as like a teenager, this is a teenager America trying to assert its independence and struggling, not doing it very well, but establishes the fact that it's a separate and a different identity and will not go along with, and will not just go along with everything else. Where was the Star-Spangled Banner written? Question number 1 for chapter 12. It was written at Fort McHenry. The British were bombarding Fort McHenry. Fort McHenry guarded the entrance to the Chesapeake Bay, up which the British would want to sail to capture Washington. Fort McHenry, and you all know the song of the Star-Spangled Banner, but that is where it was there. Now, if you are ever in Baltimore, this is where it's at in Baltimore. If you're ever in Baltimore, I highly recommend you stop by Fort McHenry and see it. It's an excellent fort. It's an excellent history place, and it's an enjoyable experience. This is just quite an intriguing experience. Looking out over the water there at the fort, you can see it. It's very, very, very cool. What battle in the South was a crushing defeat for the British? And that is, weirdly enough, a battle that was fought after the Treaty of Ghent ended the war. But it's the battle that really and truly established America as, okay, it's not worth messing with. And that was the Battle of New Orleans. And in this battle, you have the British troops marching, sort of like Bunker Hill, marching at American troops hidden behind barricades, etc. And in this in this battle, they launched a frontal assault, all right, on entrenched American riflemen and cannoneers, and the British lost over 2,000 men in half an hour, whereas the Americans lost 70, and that was just an astonishing, vicious defeat. The leader, number 3, the leader who became a national hero after the war was Andrew Jackson, future President Andrew Jackson. We will note here, and I'm going to continue right on to number 4, that a group of people that were very opposed to fighting the war. As I mentioned that in the last chapter, these were very opposed to fighting the war. In fact, so opposed they considered secession. In fact, this is something a lot of people know, but it was considered by New England long before South Carolina did in 1861. In 1814, what group of people consider secession? That is the New England's extremists, but really the New England capitalists and New England shipping merchants. All right, and there's the Hartford, Connecticut, in which it was voted on. I believe, but at least it was widely discussed. The Hartford, it was the what was secession was widely considered as a topic on the table. This was a main topic on the table. And part of the reason why the Federalists didn't want to go to war was they didn't like the fact that if you've got shipping and you're going to war with the most dangerous navy in the world, it's their ships that they're gonna lose, and that's part of it. All right, continuing on here to the next question. Describe the Tariff of 1816. Right, the Tariff of 1816. A nationalist Congress passed the tariff of 1816. It was the very first tariff in American history that was there for protection, not revenue. Its rates were 20 to 25% on the value of imports. Okay, they were not high enough to provide complete protection, but high enough to provide adequate safeguards. And let me put this in a little better context. My brother buys cell phones, right? And because he likes to break them. And so let's say he's going to go buy a cell phone. He can go over here to the Verizon store. And there's one for $300. Okay, and he goes home and he looks online and he finds a phone with similar specifications that was made in China for $120. So he buys the phone from China for $120. It comes over here and it's very similar, maybe a knockoff, etc. But he saved himself $180. Now that Verizon, let's say for example, let's say they have a factory in over here in the local town, and they have obviously their business selling them. Well, they only sell 30 phones a month because half the people in the town buy, they buy phones from China. Well, a tariff would make a tax on imports like that from China. So instead of my brother buying the phone for $120, a 20% tariff. All right, that means he has to buy the phone. So for $120, he has to buy it for $140 or $150. All right, somewhere in that range, depending on how high the tariff is. Maybe the tariff's 50%. In that case, then you have to buy it for $180. All right. Well, what that does is it gives protection and allows for businesses here to compete with foreign businesses. But it does raise prices on the consumer, you and me. Okay? But if you work at those factories and they can't compete with the places shipping in goods from overseas, they will close. And we've seen this in our world today, where businesses are closed all over the place. It's cheaper to make goods elsewhere at times. Well, here's what's going on here, and they're doing it very simply. And New England wants these tariffs because they've got a lot of factories, etc. So if they can say, that there's a tariff, well, that gives them a lot more protection and allows them to be a lot more competitive and make more money and be protected from foreign investment. And that means it's easier for them to sell to the Americans. All right. Describe the American system. The American system came up by Henry Clay. It had three parts. It began with a strong banking system and abundant credit. Okay. He liked a protective tariff, which would help the business section in the Northeast. Okay. Revenues from the tariff would provide funds for a bunch of roads and canals that they could establish. Through this new transportation, would flow stuff from the south and the west to the north and east, where they would make it. So what you have is you have raw materials and agriculture, and it's sort of a three-tiered system there. So they established, and the Congress voted in 1817. That was the American system. This is question number 8. In 1817, Congress voted to secure federal funding for roads and canals. Okay, but President Madison sternly vetoed this handout measure as unconstitutional. He did not believe that the federal government had the constitutional authority to spend money to build like roads and stuff. All right, and this is interesting because we see today federal money spend a lot of money, but in the early years, even it was vetoed by the president as he did